first.
I'm gonna do another video. It may be a long one, it may not, depending on how tired I get of talking. Phone is on the hands-free mount on the windshield. Not distracted driving, not paying attention to the phone. My thoughts and opinions are mine and mine only. Don't necessarily represent anybody I work with, work for, related to, all that good stuff. Some of the people that watch this may know the story that happened last year with me, and I'm not doing this to be a pity story, because that's the last thing I want, is somebody feeling sorry for me or feeling pity for me. That's not what God put me on this earth for. I'm just telling the story, how it went, and if somebody ends up with the same condition, maybe it helps them out, see them through on the other side. January of 2019, I had a regular doctor's appointment with a new doctor, and I had a spot on my neck that had been hurting for over a year, and I always brushed it off as being a pulled muscle. No big deal, no harm, no foul. But then there was a knot, and it got to where it hurt more times than not, and it kept hurting and kept hurting, and the pain would get so bad my entire jaw would hurt. So I went to the doctor, and he poked and prodded and messed around with it, and it's pulled muscle. Run some blood tests, this, that, and other. And he said, you're in pretty good shape other than being fat. I'm like, all right, cool. So between January and July, the pain just got worse. The morning of July 15th, I got up, and the pain was hurting so bad I couldn't turn my head. So I called out of work, went to urgent care, and I told that doctor what the other doctor had said, and he got to mess around, poked and prodded, and stuck his fingers in my neck, in my mouth, on down in that direction. He said, well, it's not your lymph nodes and it's not your tonsils. He said, but something's in there. He said, I don't think it's a pulled muscle. He said, but then again, it could very well may be. He said, we're going to send you over for a CAT scan, run dye through you, so we can see what's going on. All right, cool. I'm starting to get a little worried at this point. So I go and do the CAT scan and come back to my urgent care, minor care, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't a hospital. I'm sitting in the waiting room, and they call me back there to a room, and I'm sitting there. He ain't showed up yet, and he comes in, and the first words that come out of this man's mouth, I done went and had a blood test done, done went and had all kind of tests run, done went and had a CAT scan, this, that, and other. First words that come out of this guy's mouth is, well, it's not cancer. My heart stopped. I was like, well, if it's not cancer, what is it? He said, it's not cancer. He said, by what you think it is. He said, technically, if you look it up in the book, he said, technically it is, because cancer is a foreign body, or a foreign object in the body, whatever you want to call it. He said it's a tumor. He said carotid, a CBT, carotid body tumor, and it was a tumor about the size of a pecan, right in the bifurcation where my carotid does this number here. The tumor was sitting in between the interior and exterior parts of my carotid, and it was growing and pushing my carotid further apart. He said the only way to fix it is to have surgery. He said they'll have to cut it open and go in there, and hopefully they can cut it all out the first shot. I said, I don't like the way that sounds. He said, well, he said, there's 3 stages. He said, the first stage, he said, it's just literally just sitting there. He said, the second stage is to start enveloping the vein or the artery. He said, and third stage is where they have to, he said, they don't even try to remove the tumor. They just go in and do a complete reconstruction of the carotid. He said, but you're young. I'm pretty sure we caught it soon enough. He said, I think we can get in there and get it out. No problem. He said, just do not go home and look it up on WebMD. He said, because just don't do it. Well, first thing I did when I got home, I looked it up on WebMD. After I done went and ruined my mama's birthday by telling her that I had to have surgery to have a tumor removed. Like I said, not wanting nobody to feel sorry for me. It's just how it happened. So I had to go see a cardiovascular surgeon. And I told him what I'd read and researched. And it's a Paraganglioma. Apparently it's a very rare tumor. It's not cancer in the normal sense, because it don't affect your body. It don't necessarily spread. It's more like a freak condition. And he's like, yeah, he said, I looked it over. He said, we're going to have to do another scan. He said, that way I can get up close to it and see what's going on. He said, you know what a heart cath is? And I said, yes, sir. He said, well, I'm not a heart doctor, so it's not a heart cath. I was like, oh, that's great. So, late July, early August, I went and had basically a heart cath done. Except he bypassed my heart and went up in my neck. He said, yeah, it's definitely in there. I got a picture of it. Got a picture of the scan. He said, we're going to go in and take it out. He said, ain't no big deal. He said, it looks like it'd be easy to remove. October 23rd, maybe. It was the last week of October, because Halloween was that Saturday. Or that Friday. I don't remember. But, we went to church that Sunday prior. And, we sitting there listening to people give their testimonies about how God had changed their lives. Preacher Barry was going through and wanting everybody to stand up and give, tell this, that, and other. Well, long story short, my wife got saved that service. And I think it had a lot to do with, she told me that she was scared of losing me. Which, I mean, up until this point, I had been completely numb about the whole ordeal. Right up until I found out about what the date was. Now, when they gave me a surgery date, that's when it all became real. So, sorry for the long video. I go in that morning. It was a Tuesday morning. And I had taken off work Tuesday to the following Monday. He told me I could go back the following Tuesday, because he wasn't expecting it to be anything major. So I go in, and they get me all hooked up to some kind of brain, whatever you want to call it, to make sure I don't have a stroke while they're in there cutting on me. They go in and put this little doohickey in my arm to where they can track my blood pressure instantaneously. That's the last thing I remember. I remember waking up, feeling nauseated. I hadn't opened my eyes yet. The nurse come over there. I have no idea who this woman is. I've never met this. I've never laid eyes on this woman. I was still had my eyes closed when she come over and was talking to me. The first question I ever asked anybody when I came back out of being put under, I asked that woman, I said, "Do you believe in God?" She said, "Oh yeah, son." She said, "I really do." And I was like, "Well, I've been praying for you." And then I was out. I went back out. That night I had to spend the night in Neuro ICU. That is the worst night of my life. In there by myself. It's dark. My blood pressure would not come down. Because, they just cut me open and messed with the thing that helps regulate my blood pressure. See, they couldn't get it to come down. Next morning, the doctor came in there and said everything looked good. Everything went well, and they sent me home. I went back to work that following Wednesday. Ended up back in the hospital that Sunday night, and I spent a week in the hospital because apparently something had happened, went wrong, and I ended up contracting MRSA. Staph infection, whatever you want to call it. Stayed a week in the hospital. And after I got out, I had to have packing strips packed into my surgical spot. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemies. Not the fact that it hurt. It was just more aggravating than anything. I ain't gonna lie, it still hurts. It's been almost a year and my scar still hurts. But in the research I've done, having a paraganglioma, a lot of people look at, oh, well, it's cancer and it can kill you. Well, I was told it could grow and push my carotid apart, suffocate oxygen to my brain, start having headaches, possibly have a stroke. Whatever. They got it out. All in one piece, all intact. Which I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised. But, yeah. That's the story. So, if you watched through the whole video, I appreciate it. If you didn't, well, oh well. That's all I got.